I have a confession to make. Every time someone would ask me, hey, so how are the kids adapting to living in Africa? I would literally lose my mind. It would kind of irritate me a bit because kids adapt better to living abroad than adults, quite frankly. And in this video, I'm gonna tell you 7 ways why it's actually better for your children to experience abroad life now while they're young versus waiting until they get old. Hi, my name is Ashley, and on my channel, Ashley in Africa, I talk about all things moving, living, and doing business on the continent of Africa. I help Black families and professionals make their expat life dreams in Africa a reality. If that sounds interesting to you, please subscribe to my channel and be sure to hit the notification bell when I drop weekly videos on this topic. So let's get into this, because I really seriously would cringe when people would ask me, oh, so how are the kids doing in Africa? They're doing great. Of course they're doing great. And they're doing great because children statistically adjust better than adults in practically any situation. But the reasons why it benefits children so much to actually experience Africa, specifically Black children, are for 7 reasons that I'm going to outline in this video. And at the end, I'll give you a bonus reason as to why my children actually adapted well and why I'd recommend for any family with young children and even older children to make the move to experience their expat dreams and turn them into reality. All right, so I got my notes. So the first reason why children benefit from living abroad, especially in comparison to a Western culture like the US, is safety. Ding, ding, ding. You know, I love to talk about safety in Africa because yes, it's safe. In fact, Africa houses some of the safest countries and safest cities in the world. And from my experience, there was nothing like my children being able to play outside or roam around a neighborhood or roam around a mall or a plaza by themselves and just be children. And I didn't have to worry about whether someone was going to snatch them up in a white van or someone was going to talk to them inappropriately and lure them into a dark corner, or quite frankly, if there was going to be pew, 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 pew happening at the mall, at the grocery store, at the school. That's just not a factor across the continent. And yeah, there are incidents that hit the news where, unfortunate events happen, but overall, those are micro incidents, unlike the daily incidents that seem to consistently happen in the US. Safety is my number 1 reason why all Black children should experience life in Africa. My second reason is children actually develop better problem solving and critical thinking skills being in new environments and out of their traditional, their traditional element. So an example of this is, you're walking through the mall and a child hears an argument happening or a loud communication experience happening in a different language, and they're taken aback by it and they want to know what's going on. Well, that's an opportunity for learning and education. I'll say this is probably a better example. So in the mall in Tanzania, we were walking and saw 2 grown adult men holding hands. And in my head, I thought, well, this is a very strict and religious city, at the time being in Dar es Salaam. I thought those sort of behaviors were looked down upon there. And that was what I was thinking, right? Not even my child. She wasn't thinking that, but she asked me, she said, oh, what's going on here? And it later led us to follow up to ask a question where hand holding amongst male friends is very common. So showing affection to your male counterpart is very common. I think in America where, you know, women holding hands or embracing or kissing on the cheek and just loving on each other is very normal. But as for grown men, it's seen to be as suspects or pause. And that was, I think, the greatest example where it challenged us both really to take a step back and think critically about the situation at hand. For children, this is even more rich of an experience because they're developing what their perspective and social norms look like. And so when they're taken outside of what they know to be traditional or normal experiences, it broadens their perspective on what actually is acceptable and is normal in societal culture. And I just think it's fantastic. It's the second reason why I feel Black children benefit from living in Africa. The third reason is children are statistically known to have higher academic achievement after being exposed to multiple cultures and multiple languages. So this is pretty self-explanatory, but when you're growing and expanding personally, but also intellectually, it enhances your ability to think critically, right? And to problem solve, which are skill sets that are not only applicable in the educational environment, but the social environment. And so statistically, it's proven that children that speak multiple languages or even speak a little bit and can understand a different language or have experienced different currencies or understand different social norms and cultural norms are way more likely to be academically advanced. I saw this personally with my children. My oldest was picking up French and also Swahili. My youngest, as she was even learning English and learning like basic communication tools, she was also learning Swahili. And when we're teaching her money, she even now still references the Tanzanian shilling or the rand and what that looks like in US dollars. So these are not only ways that they're experiencing accelerated levels of learning socially, but in the academic space, my youngest daughter skipped a grade by testing higher. We're reading novels that are African fiction and accelerating her academic experience just by introducing a new culture and a new perspective into her day-to-day. Super important, and the number 3 reason why I feel that Black children should absolutely experience life in Africa. The number 4 reason why I believe that children benefit, and not only benefit but adapt easier to a broad life, especially in Africa, is it increases their empathy. So we're constantly hearing about the challenges that happen in Africa. And yes, there are challenges, but as you can see across my channel, there are absolutely so many positives. And in my opinion, those positives outweigh the challenges. But the challenges are real, and challenges like poverty are absolutely present on the continent. And for my children, for them to come from a very comfortable life to going into a simpler life in Africa where, yeah, they still had some fantastic luxuries, okay? They definitely did, but they also got to see what it was like for our neighbors and their children to be happy and grateful with a lot less. A lot of the children would go to work with their mothers if they weren't school-age children, and their younger children would be with them the entire day. Or even if they did have school-age children and maybe they couldn't afford to send them to school, they learned their trade by being there with their mom or dad at work all day and taking care of the younger sibling. And so my children got to see that. They got to experience that and got to reflect on what it really meant to be grateful for all that they had. And even today, where we are exposed to that comfortable lifestyle, they have a sense of empathy that, quite frankly, in comparison to their peers, is something that I'm so proud of, because they understand and recognize what it means to be grateful for all that they have, even if they don't have everything that they want. So in a world of consumers, empathy is something that, quite frankly, is just not taught, and it's not something that we really focus on educating our children. But as these Western worlds grow and consumption is at the forefront of our value system, narcissism is also following closely behind. And what we know about narcissism is there is a strong lack of empathy as it pertains to those that suffer with narcissism or even narcissistic traits. And quite frankly, just living in the West teaches you to have narcissistic traits. And so that's toxic. And I don't want that for my children. So quite frankly, having an increased level of empathy is absolutely worth the leap of exposing my children to a lifestyle outside of the country and specifically on the continent of Africa. If this information is valuable to you, please be sure to like this video and go ahead and drop an emoji, a thumbs up emoji in the description, in the comments to let me know. Go ahead and drop a kid emoji of whatever complexion you love in the comments to let me know that this information is not only valuable for you, but your children, or maybe a friend of yours or a colleague that has children that has thought about living and moving and possibly doing business on the continent of Africa. So if you resonate with this information, please be sure to leave that kid emoji in the comments and share it with someone who would find value. All right, so the number 6 reason why children not only adapt better to living in Africa, but also thrive living in Africa is they get a better understanding of other cultures and languages. So this also goes into the increased level of empathy, but I think that's a separate value, but that exposure to another culture and another language is something that, quite frankly, is just, it's a beautiful thing. Living in Western society, specifically in the US, we don't really get introduced to foreign language outside of maybe high school. And even then, when we're working or just living our day-to-day life and we see people that may speak Spanish, very rarely do we engage in conversation with people that don't speak English. We have an expectation as Americans that in America, we speak English, and so should people around us. And not only is that a lack of empathy, but it's a level of ignorance that, quite frankly, I am proud that I have broken from my children and from their upbringing. And so they've already been exposed to multiple cultures, multiple languages, and have developed not only that level of empathy, but an interest to understand those other cultures and to understand those other languages to bring into their own skill set, because they recognize that the more that they know, whether it's about another culture or about another language, it enhances their ability to relate to other people and to become more relatable and to be more well-rounded. And so to me, it's a fantastic reason why children not only adapt, but thrive to living abroad. The 6th reason why children not only thrive living abroad, but adapt so easily is because they're kids. An adventure for them is something that they live for, right? They watch television, they read books, and their favorite television shows and storybooks are filled with adventure. And going abroad to another country, living in another culture, experiencing different weather and different nature elements is an adventure for them. So they're literally living out their favorite television show or storybook. And so they're gonna adapt so easy to that because they're literally experiencing their own, action-packed, drama-filled adventure experience. I love that for my girls. And anywhere we go now, regardless of what it looks like and where we are, they take it on as an adventure, and they're not used to the rigmarole of day to day. In fact, they thrive in new spaces and new environments. And me being the consistent constant in their life is what they need to be successful adults and individuals. So these two last bonuses on how kids will thrive from living abroad is a little bit more futuristic, but I think as parents, we're always wanting to make sure that everything that we do sets our children up for success in the future. And the number 6 reason, or 7, who's counting? The number 7 reason why it's great for children to experience a broad life, specifically in Africa, is they get set up for better career opportunities in the future. So especially now where we're living in this digital, nomadic, global economy, when people are looking to hire or even looking to bring in and enroll into their schools or their trades, someone with a global perspective is going to shine and possibly, let's just be real, outshine someone who's homegrown in their local town. That's all they know. That's the only place they've been. If you're comparing Adam, who's only lived in one place and been there his whole life, high school, college, and you're comparing, Zeta, who has traveled the world, lived in 5 states, lived in 3 countries, speaks 4 languages. Who's gonna get that job? If I'm the hiring manager, Zeta's getting it. And it's because of that increased level of empathy. It's because that person, that candidate, likely has better problem solving and critical thinking skills. It's because that person has been exposed to different cultures and different lifestyles, so that when different types of people come into my door, I don't have a PR scandal on my hands, because they know how to handle any situation, any person, and following such with empathy and compassion, proving them to be the better candidate and overall have a better trajectory in their career. Just saying, And so for me, I've found that my experience in bringing my children to live abroad was not only a dream that I fulfilled for myself, but it was something that I gave to them. It was something that I taught them that they'll never forget, and they will constantly be better people for it. In fact, they'll be our future leaders. These global citizens, where we're experiencing this global exodus of people moving across country and cross continents, is creating our future global leaders in this 21st and 22nd century. And I'm so grateful to have been a part of that and to be able to offer up this type of content to give you the insights that you need to create your life on your own terms and help you to make your expat dreams a reality. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to go ahead and leave a kid emoji or a couple of them in the comments, and subscribe to my channel to get updates on when I post new content. And in fact, if you're looking to create your expat dreams into reality, be sure to click the link below where you can schedule time with me, and I can absolutely help you do that. And be sure to say hello on Instagram and follow my journey with my girls and I as we prepare to make our way back to South Africa. See you in the next video.
Truer than true.
You heard me, Z?
Yeah.
Were those things true?
Yeah.
Truer than true?
Yeah.
How true?
Too much true.
Too much true. Thanks, baby.